Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us at our Postgraduate Funding and Student Finance webinar. Just a few quick introductions before we start. So hello, my name is Lauren. I'm the Postgraduate Marketing Manager here at Keele University. And I'm also joined by my colleague, Anne, who is safely becoming our resident VIP guest at these sessions. Hello, Anne. Thank you for being here, lovely. Anne works in our financial support team here at Keele. The session is going to last for half an hour today, so thanks for sticking with us. We'll cover a range of funding options, including bursaries, scholarships, external support and part-time work on campus, along with budgeting tips and financial advice available at Keele. Anne has a presentation, we'll share that shortly, and we've left some time for a Q&A session at the end too. Just to say, this will be available on demand too, so you can go back and watch something after, so don't worry if you miss anything in the moment. So without further ado, Anne, thank you, lovely. Shall we start the presentation and pass over to you?
That's perfect. Thank you ever so much, Lauren. So we'll get started. So we're just going to talk about postgraduate funding and student finance, and hopefully give you a good overview of what you may be able to get. So as a brief introduction, it'll take about 15 minutes or so. We'll be talking about the master's loan, the doctoral loan, and also lots of different other funding that you may be able to apply for as a postgraduate student. We'll also be looking at things you might want to budget for, and also some budgeting tips along the way. So first of all, it is important to check your eligibility for a master's loan. All of the eligibility criteria is on the Student Finance website. You'll be able to have a look on there, make sure that you do reach the eligibility loan. Depending on where you live will depend on where you can apply for the master's loan. So if you live in Student Finance England, it would be for Student Finance England. You do need to be studying the course that's eligible as well. So in order to get the master's loan, it does need to be a full 180 credits course. So it needs to be the full master's, not a postgraduate certificate or diploma. And you do also need to be under the age of 60 on the day of the start of the course, and also meet the nationality and the residency requirements that is on the Student Finance website for you to check. So you won't be eligible for a master's loan if you've already studied a master's course before. They do only fund one course, and even if you've done a master's course without student finance funding, you probably won't be able to receive the master's loan. If you are behind on any repayments to student finance for any overpayments or anything like that, then you wouldn't be eligible to apply for it either. And also if your course is integrated within an undergraduate or within a doctoral degree. So for the integrated courses, if you're studying an integrated master's, you would continue on with the undergraduate funding that you'd received for the previous 3 years. If you're looking to do an integrated doctoral, then that would be the doctoral loans that you'd be applying for. The age-old question of how much you can receive. For any courses starting from September 2025, after the date of the 1st of August 2025 is the official date given by Student Finance, then you'd be receiving £12,858. If your course starts later that year, then you can still apply for that amount. If your course is over more than 1 year, so if it's a 2-year course, then that amount is split equally over the 2 years or however long your course is. So for example, you'd receive around £6,000 in the first year and £6,000 in the second year if you're studying a 2-year course. Now, the amount isn't based on your income or anything like that. You do just apply for the amount that you want. So if you want the full amount, you can apply for the full amount. But if you want less of a master's loan, then you can apply for less as well. The £12,858 is just the maximum that you can receive. And it is important that if you are receiving any benefits, such as universal credit, that you do check how this amount would affect your entitlement, and to get some really good benefits advice from a trusted source such as Citizens Advice. For our students studying on a pre-registration course, especially a nursing course or any other healthcare course, there is additional funding available for you. So we've got the NHS Learning Support Fund. Please excuse the typo there, it is fun and a fund as well. So we've got the training grant, which is £5,000. We've also got the parental support amount, which is £2,000, and those are per year. With the training grant, certain courses will receive an additional £1,000 due to the specialism of the course. All of the information about the NHS Learning Support Fund is on their website, so it is important to have a look and see whether you can apply for that too. With the Learning Support Fund, you've also got your travel and dual accommodation expenses for if your placement is further away from university than you'd normally travel to university, and also they have an exceptional support fund for anyone who is going through exceptional hardship. So the main postgraduate loan from Student Finance works slightly differently than your undergraduate funding did. So with the postgrad loan, you will get paid the amount directly to you, and it's your responsibility to pay your outgoings. So that would be to pay your tuition fees to the university and also towards any living costs as well. So once you've received your student finance, then you need to pay your course fees to the university. The master's loan is paid in thirds, similar to your undergraduate funding. So you'll receive 33%, 33% and 34% each term. So if you're starting in September, that would be September, January and April. If you're starting in January, that'd be January, April and September. And then once you've received your loan, then you can always speak to our income office to make sure that those payments are in line with your loan dates, so you know that when you're going to be paying your tuition fees off. Applying is really straightforward, so you can apply online through your student finance portal. So that's the same login details that you will have had for your undergraduate funding. It is best to apply sooner rather than later. So if you're thinking of joining us in September and you haven't applied yet, then I'd recommend that you get that done as soon as possible, just so you know that you've got that ready and you know when to expect that funding to come through. You will need to click whether you're applying for the master's loan or the doctoral loan within that. As I mentioned before, you will receive that in the funding within 3 instalments. So it will be on a termly basis, and you do need to wait for the university to confirm that we have got you registered on the course. So once you've completed your enrolment, we will then let Student Finance know that you are registered with us, and then that will then release the funding to you. It is important to just budget just for a few delays, just in case. Hopefully there won't be any delays and it will be done straight away. But if there is any delays with your funding, just make sure you've got a couple of weeks funding available to you just to get you through those first couple of weeks. We also do offer short-term funding if needed. So if it is that you are experiencing a little bit of difficulty whilst you're waiting for your student finance to come through, then do contact the financial support team and we'll be able to help you. So repaying the postgraduate loan will be very similar to when you repay your undergraduate loan, but there are different thresholds. So when you start repaying your postgraduate loan will be once you are earning over £21,000 per year, and that is a 6%. Sorry, I can't see the slide. 6%. So you'll be paying your there we go. Yes, 6%. Sorry. So 6% of your of what you're earning over £21,000. Now that is in addition to when you start repaying your undergraduate funding. So when you hit the threshold for both your undergraduate and your postgraduate funding, then you will start to pay all of that off together. Normally comes out of your wage slip if you're employed, or if you're self-employed, then you'll do that through your tax return. With the master's loan, any outstanding balance is written off after 30 years. So you will obviously get that written off if you haven't repaid that back in full. There's also other funding available for you as well. So you've got the disabled students allowances. If you've accessed that whilst you've been in your undergraduate studies, please do reach out to our DSI team and they'll be able to help you to access it again for your postgraduate studies. If it is that you have, if you've got ill health or if you've got a disability of any kind, then you can apply for the disabled students allowances. Again, all of the eligibility criteria is on the Student Finance website. We've also got some bursaries and scholarships, and I've already mentioned the NHS bursaries that are available to students as well. So lots of different funding available for students whilst they're studying their postgraduate. With the bursaries and scholarships, so there's lots on their website. We've just listed a few on the screen here. So we've got the Keele alumni discount. So that is currently 20% for students who are on campus, 10% for students who are studying online. The Keele alumni discount for this coming academic year only, so academic year 25-26, is also available to be joined with our other scholarships and bursaries and is taken after all of the others have been applied. So that would be for the September 2025 cohort and the January 2026 cohort only for those. We've also got the Keele Graduate Scholarship, the Care Leaver and Estranged Student Bursary and our Article 26 Sanctuary Scholarship. It is really important to read all of the eligibility criteria on here, and if you're not quite sure, then do get in touch with us through Student Services and we'll be able to talk you through about whether you would be eligible for those or not. As expected, most students do have a part-time job alongside their course to try and increase their income slightly, and it's perhaps a little bit more important as a master's student as the master's loan isn't as generous as the undergraduate funding has been previously. So we'd also think about whether we would look to get some savings together before you start your postgraduate studying, just so you know that you've got enough money to get you through whilst you're studying. And then you could always ask family to see if they're able to support you whilst you're studying, and also have a look at the scholarships hub to see whether there's any other scholarships externally you might be able to apply for as well. So as Lauren mentioned, I work in the financial support team here at Keele. We offer a wide variety of financial support here at the university. So we could talk to you about the UK government funding, any alternative funding, bursaries, scholarships. We can also help with budgeting as well, financial support for all sorts of different students and also international student funding as well. And as I mentioned a few times, you can find us through Student Services. We also run different campaigns throughout the year, so you will be seeing us around on campus. If you'd like to sit down with us to have a bit of a chat about budgeting, we also offer a one-to-one financial wellbeing check, just to make sure that your spending's in line with what you can afford. We've also do emergency funding, such as emergency loans, and for those unforeseen, unexpected circumstances that may arise, we've also got the hardship fund. We do have different funding as well available for our international students. Again, all of the details and the eligibility criteria are on our website. We've just listed a few on here that are the main ones. So we've got the alumni and the Article 26, alongside the Great Scholarships and also the postgraduate scholarships as well. So there's lots of different costs you'll need to consider, especially if it's been a little while since you've been a student. So it's always good to sit down, make a budget about what you will need to take into consideration whilst you're studying. So for example, you'll need to budget for your accommodation, for your food, travel, and also hopefully some of the fun things that come along with university as well. So make sure that you're including some entertainment, hopefully some societies as well, so you can get really involved with the university. To give you a bit of an idea of how much money students spend on average, there is the National Student Money Survey. We've got the 2024 results up on the screen for you now. Just gives you a bit of an idea UK-wide what students will spend their money on. Now, different criteria have different amounts, different people have different preferences, but that will give you a rough idea on what you could start off with when you're starting to build your budget to come to university. The 2025 survey results will come out in September, so you can keep your eye out on them as well. The National Student Money Survey is run by the Save the Students, and you'll find it on their website there. So lots of different budgeting tips for our postgraduate students, just really to make sure that you've reviewed your finances before you start. Obviously things can happen, but if you've got a good handle of how much money you've got to be able to get you through your studies, then that will be able to, you'll be able to relax a little bit and know, yes, I've got enough money to get me through. Also, try and build a rainy day fund. Obviously, unexpected things happen, that is life. So it is important to build up that rainy day fund. So if the unexpected does happen, it's not going to really impact your budget. You've got that rainy day fund to pick up if you do need to, if there's an emergency situation. And then during your course, do remember to use your student discount. It's a really good benefit as a postgraduate student to get included with your totem and uni days and all of the other different types of student discounts that you can access. Review your budget monthly. With you being a student, your budget is going to be tight. There's not going to be as much wiggle room, especially if you're leaving full-time work to come and study. So it is really important that you're keeping on top of that budget so things don't snowball and escalate later on. And also check out all of the useful tips and tools on Black Bullion. So Black Bullion is our financial education programme. All students will have free access to Black Bullion. Lots of courses, hints, tips and information about lots of different things for you to access on there as well. Fab, and that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you found it useful. It's covered a few bits and pieces. So I think over to you, Lauren, if we've got any questions.
Thank you, Anne. You certainly made that fun lovely. Thank you for that one. Thank you for everybody who's put some questions in the Q&A and the chat on the live stream. We're going to get to a couple of them, Anne, if that's okay with you, sweet.
Brilliant.
So, great question. Thank you for this one. Are there scholarships for online students? How does it work for people who want to study online?
So for online students, you'd be able to have a look online, depending on whether you're an international student or a home student.
Okay.
Have a look online,
Yep.
check the eligibility criteria, but also have a look on the scholarship hub as well. They offer lots of external scholarships.
Okay.
So it could be that a company out there is offering a scholarship for an online course, for example, that you'd be able to apply for. What I would say with external scholarships is they are highly sought after.
Okay.
So if it is that anyone is wanting to apply for them, give it your all in your application. Don't expect that you will receive it just because you've applied, because they are very maximum effort.
Okay,
definitely.
We can do that. Thank you. Somebody's asked a question about like part-time work, so working in the evenings with certain courses. In terms of that, Anne, like how do we kind of manage and let people know that they are able to work and study at the same time? What options do we have available on campus? Lovely.
So on campus, there's lots of different job opportunities here. So we've got obviously the Students' Union. We've also got the different shops and things on campus, and also the catering outlets too. With studying online, obviously it depends on the intensity of your course. There will be some courses where it's less. There's a less opportunity to study and work part-time as well. But yeah, about 67% of students overall do work whilst they're studying. So
Okay.
it is normal to be able to find work while studying. We're also really close. If you're living on campus, we are really close to a couple of towns and the city. So there's lots of different opportunities out there for students.
Fab. Thank you, Anne. Questions are coming through quick and fast on the chat, so thank you everyone for participating. Someone's asked a question about childcare, Anne. So childcare and finding financial support whilst on a course. How does that work, lovely? What support do we offer?
Okay, so if you're applying for the postgraduate master's loan, unfortunately that doesn't include the childcare funding element, like the undergraduate funding would do. So it's important to go and have that conversation with Citizens Advice Bureau to see what benefits you'd be able to get for your childcare.
Okay, Citizens Advice Bureau, so on website, go and have a little look what we've got. Okay, sweet, thank you. We've got a couple of questions asking about the hardship fund. Can you just talk us through that, Anne, and when it opens for 25-26, please, lovely?
Yep, so the hardship fund will open probably once term has started. So it's normally about October time that the hardship fund opens. Now it is for unforeseen and unexpected occurrences, and we can't take into consideration anything that's happened prior to your starting university. So it is for my car's broken down halfway through my year, rather than to be as additional funding. So it is a exceptional fund rather than an additional fund.
And something that's come up unexpectedly that you couldn't budget or plan for.
Exactly.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Another question here about if you're a single parent, for example, any additional financial support, lovely?
So again, go and have a conversation about what benefits you may be able to receive whilst you're studying.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And again, looking at the scholarship hub to see if there is anything available on the scholarship hub.
Do your research and have a look around, basically.
Definitely do your research. Make sure you've got your figures up all ready before you start.
Fab, thank you, sweets. We've had a question about the NHS fund, and is it particularly applicable for psychotherapy students?
So all of the eligible courses are on the NHS Learning Support Fund. There are quite a lot of courses on there, so I can't remember offhand if that particular course is on there. So do have a look on the NHS LSF fund to see if that course is on there. Brilliant, if it is, then you will be able to apply for it. You will need to get your student finance applied for before you can apply for the NHS Learning Support Fund. So that's just an important thing to think about, is to apply for student finance first and then apply for your Learning Support Fund afterwards.
Brilliant, thank you, Anne. You are just a fountain of knowledge today, lovely, very impressive. Thanks for the question, James. Does the alumni discount get taken off the total amount straight away? So is it automatic, Anne?
Yes, so the alumni discount will be applied automatically. It's normally applied during semester one, so you will receive your invoice. It may not have the alumni discount on at that point. If you've got any questions once you receive your invoice, then you can contact our income office. Their details are on the invoice, but it will be following up shortly after. They do try and get it done as soon as possible for you.
Fab, thank you, Anne. I think we've answered another question there, so that's always brilliant. Thank you for that one, sweets. So can we just go back to sweets then? What are some common budgeting mistakes that postgraduate students make, and how can we avoid them? We've all been there, sweets. Postgraduate loan or any kind of loan drops, you're instantly drawn towards some kind of online shopping. What should we do instead, Anne, please?
So I'd recommend making sure that you're going to be paying your tuition fees first and foremost from your postgraduate loan, if that's what you're wanting to do with your postgraduate loan, if you haven't got any other way of paying your course fees. So I'd recommend planning in, putting your student finance pay date into your calendar, which is what I did when I was studying, put it into my calendar, and I knew that I had to pay the university the next day, because then it was gone and I couldn't touch it. I couldn't touch it. If it's gone already, I won't touch it. I think just sitting down, especially now, we've got a couple of months before you'll start for September and quite a little while before you'll start in January. So I think just sitting down and just saying, right, okay, what expenses have I got that I don't actually need? So trimming things down. So for example, if your phone contract's coming up, can you reduce that? Do you really need a new phone? Can you reduce that down? Looking at TV packages and things like that, just making sure that you're as trim as you can before you start university.
Okay.
And I think just making sure that you're fully aware of what you're spending. I know it's a habit when you work full time, is you spend to what you can afford to, but when your income's going to potentially significantly drop, then it's important to be able to trim that down and to make sure that you've got everything covered that you're going to need to get covered.
So all outgoings out first.
Yes.
Key point.
Yes.
Fab. Thank you, sweets. Thank you, Harry. What do you usually need to provide with your student finance application to prove you're starting a master's? So what information would you usually give to student finance, please, Anne?
Okay, so with your student finance application, they already know who you are. They may ask for an updated passport number, but they'll ask you for your university, which course you're studying, how much loan that you'll want. The master's loan application is significantly smaller than the undergraduate because it's not household income assessed or anything. So it is just a case of submitting the information that they ask for, which will be minimal because they'll already know who you are if you've already had an undergraduate application, and then they will assess that and they'll send it back. It does normally take a couple of weeks for the postgraduate master's loan confirmation to come through. It can get a little bit busier this time of year, but it does only normally take a couple of weeks. So it is important to get your application in so you'll know what you're doing. Once that's approved, then they won't release the loan until we confirm that you're here. So if you put down that you're studying a master's in philosophy, but actually you're going to come and do a master's in business administration, then we will inform student finance that, oh no, that's the wrong course, you need to be on this course, and then that will send out the money to you. That's where the delays could come in if your course is slightly incorrect. So it is important to try and apply for the correct course, but if you're not quite sure on which course it is, pick your first choice course, and then it can be changed before you start if you do just change your mind.
That's good to know, so it can be amended. Brilliant, thank you. Can students receive multiple Keele scholarships and bursaries if they're eligible for more than one? Can we stack them? How does that work, please?
So for this academic year, so for 25-26, so for September 2025 starters and January 2026 starters, there are some that can be combined. So that's the alumni and the Keele Graduate Scholarship and the Care Leaver Bursary. There may be another one, but they can. Some of them can be stacked. So what will happen is that the others will be taken off first, and then the alumni is taken off second. So the alumni is taken off the net from your other discounts.
Fab, thank you, lovely. So this September and January next year.
Yes.
Brilliant, and check our website for all full T's and C's on that one. If you're an international student, Anne, where do you go to find information for budgeting and finance?
So budgeting finance, there's lots of information on our website. So if you type international student funding, then lots of information will come up for you. The important thing if you're an international student is to make sure that you have budgeted for different living costs. Obviously, the cost of living in the UK may be different from where you're from. So it is important to sit down and go, right, okay, how much money is this? There is some really useful websites out there where you can put in the amount of where you're going, and you can do it to the local town, I believe, the local city, where you're going and how much things are in comparison to where it is in your home country. So I would recommend having a look online, do your research, see how much things compare to back at home, because there will be differences.
Okay, sweet. So have a little look online as well. Thank you. Will Keele send all the links needed to apply for finance to pay for the course and living loans or grants, or do we have to research these ourselves?
So you will need to research them yourselves. So with student finance, if you type in student finance masters, then hopefully you will be able to find it on any good search engine on where you need to go to apply for your student finance. For bursaries and scholarships, information is all on our website.
Fab, thank you, Anne. Probably our last question, lovely. So what advice have you got for people when managing irregular income from part-time or freelance work while studying? So you might get paid one month and then the next you're relying on that student loan. What would you recommend that people do?
So I'd recommend to plan for your worst month. Always plan for your worst month. And then if you've had a better month than you have previously, to put some money aside, and always plan for a worse month. Because it's very hard when you're doing freelance and you don't know what the income's going to be one month to the next, especially if you fall ill or whatever. So it is really, really important to make sure you've got that rainy day fund just in case, especially with your contracted work.
So if you can live off your worst month, anything else is additional pocket money for you. Brilliant, thank you, sweets. Somebody's asked a question in the chat, thank you for this. Bursary value for disability support?
So the disability support is the disabled students' allowances. It's not physical cash that gets sent to you, it's more support to support you within university. So I'd recommend having a look on disabled students allowances, which is also known as DSA, because disabled students allowances is a bit of a mouthful.
Okay.
So student finance, disabled students allowances, and then you'll be able to have a look and see what support you'll be able to access. If you want a further conversation about it, you can contact our Disability Support and Inclusion team, also known as DSI, just to acronym everything.
We love one, don't we?
And you can contact them through Student Services, and they can have a conversation with you about the process of applying for disabled students allowances and what you may be able to get support with going forward.
Quick fire one, Anne. We've got 1 minute left, lovely. Where can we apply for jobs on campus? Thanks for the question in the chat.
Fabulous. So jobs on campus would be best on through our careers team. So if you have a look on our careers team, we've got a job shop that's based on there. So that's probably the best place to start looking for on-campus jobs, and also through the SU website.
Job shop, SU website.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you to everybody who's joined us today. This will be available on demand too, so please feel free to watch back. Anything you're not sure about, please get in touch with our team. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you, Anne, lovely.
Thank you.